Hello friends, today we're gonna discuss about ProtoBuf. So let's move next. This is our agenda. Today we're gonna discuss about the introduction of ProtoBuf and the comparison between ProtoBuf and the XML. I'm also trying to cover other serializable like JSON and other also in this, and then we discuss about like how it's work, like how protobuf is work. Then we're gonna see like how we can generate. Actually protobuf is a platform independent, so for each platform it will be generating the code accordingly. So we will also go through that one also, and then we move to the backward compatibility. We'll see like how the protobuf is backward compatible, and then we will note down the importance point that you need to be remember for your brush up. So let's move to next. So first of all we go to like introduction of protobuf. Protobuf basically is a serializable mechanism, okay, through which we are transferring the data from one point to another point. And you can see it like taking an example of an http call. So in http call we have a client, that is our browser, and we are making a call to the server. That is a simple scenario. So while making the call we are also passing some data in the form of JSON or XML. JSON or XML. Okay, the same thing will be happening again also. Once we are getting a response from the server, it is providing the response in the form of JSON, XML, HTML and other types. So basically we are going to see like so this is a similar thing. This is the data that have been passed from one point to another point, yeah, one from one component to another component in the form of JSON. Okay, these are the like formats that we are using. So similar to like JSON and XML, we have a protobuf. So protobuf is a like if you see an example of a small JSON. Let's suppose I have created one JSON, and this is the name, and I will take my name Harry, and my age, that is 32, and we are closing it. So in the representation, once we are passing that data to this channel, or this is this channel, this channel is nothing but our TCP stack, or you can say this is our TCP stack, okay, through which the data will be transferred. And if you take an example of this, so what was happening, it is being like encoded like this. For the character, this in small byte of data will be stored like 8 byte, because this is an string. Okay, similar to that, if you are using this white space, then next block, and then according it will be went, and at the end we have this block. Okay, and we are consuming that much memory, and that much amount of data will be transferred through our channels. Okay, let's suppose it's 82 kilobytes of data will be transferred in this example. It is not an exactly, it's just for a reference. So how a protobuf will be doing this? So basically protobuf is not storing the data like we are storing in the JSON file, or in the similar thing we can perform in the XML also. XML, whatever the XML will be generated, it will be treated like an string, and in string we have a one character of 8 byte. So each character will be, if you're using white space and any other details, so it will be consume the data. But in the case of protobuf, it will be not performing all these things. It is a completely difference. It will be storing, like in the case of it, what it will do, uh, we have a protobuf. We first create a protobuf file, okay, in which ah, we have a protobuf file in which we are declaring the schema, and this schema will be shared between the both component means our client, that is a browser, and our server. Okay, this schema will be available at both side. Okay, that protobuf file that you can say. Okay, so what was happening here, so what we are doing, we are not sending the complete text like we are doing here in the case of JSON and XML. Instead of that, we are just passing the data means data entries, like in the case of this in the case of this if we are taking an example of this XML, so we are not passing the name, we are just passing the value, like my name is Harry. Okay, so I'm just passing this value. Okay, and whatever the size, whatever the amount of data, whatever the size it's required, we will using that one. Okay, and we have an age of 32, and this is in block, you can say this is in block, this is an array of block, sorry, this is an array of block. Here I'm passing my name Harry with a one space with the next line. Okay, you can say, okay, I'm passing that much, amount of bytes, and then we have an integer is also consuming a 1 byte, so that much amount of data I'm passing now. Okay, here you can see I am passing a lot of data because I'm treating everything as in complete string. But in the case of protobuf, we have a different type of data types, and we are using a suitable data type, so that we are getting a like compressed form of it. Okay, we are not passing the extra data. That is the one thing. The first thing is not passing all data. Okay, only necessary data will pass, like this, pass will pass. That is the one thing that is cleared. Okay, second, we are passing only this much amount of data, and second thing, the protobuf file should be present on both side. Okay, the protobuf file should be present in the both file, and it should be identical, and identical, so it should be identical at both side. So we are just passing the data. So if you see an example of this, we are passing the 82 bytes of data, but in that case, we are taking, it's also passing some other metadata also for its reference, and around it will be take, if you take an example of 82, so it will be take 32 kilobytes of data maximum. That amount of data will be sent through this channel. So if you take an example of Google, so if you take an example of Google, yeah, if you take an example of Google, take an ex so what it will be do, it will performing lot of data operations, and if you're performing a lot of data operation, in that scenario what was happening, whatever the data it will be coming, it will be storing that one, then it will be compressing that data, let's suppose 7-zip or You can say in the example zip, we are getting a JSON file. Okay, this JSON file that is of 82 kilobytes. We perform a zip and we will save it around you can say 20 kilobytes. Okay, we are compressing it, and when we are performing any other operation, then we are decompressing it. Then we are decompressing. So performing this operation will taking lot of time. Taking lot of time. So for the reduction of this thing, and making it faster, Google come up with a solution of ProtoBuf. So we can say ProtoBuf are flexible. Okay, we can modify the things in the ProtoBuf, and it is efficient, that I already being explained to you, and automatic mechanism for serialization. Automatic mechanism means whatever the things, let's suppose in the browser side I'm using JavaScript, and in server side I'm using Java, you can say I'm writing in Java. So what was happening, what protobuf will be do, Google providing a very well established library and very stable library, and we can use that library. It will be generating, we are just creating the protobuf file, it will be generating the code necessary for JavaScript and Java also. Let in the case of browser side, it will be create the required file through its framework. Okay, through its framework, and it will be create the necessary generated file through its framework for Java. And in the case of server, it will be creating generating for the Java, but in the case of browser, it is generating for the JavaScript. That one thing will be clear. So automatic mechanism, in that scenario, we don't have to do anything. We just have to provide our protobuf file, and everything will be done by the library that we are using. So that is the thing, and it is a language neutral. It is a language neutral. Language neutral. Yeah, it is a language neutral. So language neutral means it is a language neutral. So language neutral means here you can see we are using JavaScript. Here we are using the Java. So it doesn't actually, if I'm writing this protobuf for browser, I don't care about the Java. What will be like creating for the Java? What are the syntax for the Java? Okay, so that's why it is a language neutral. It might be possible there's a scenario, like suppose I want a faster server. So in that scenario, I want to migrate my server to the Rust. Okay, in that scenario, I can easily migrate to the protobuf, or easily migrate it to the Rust using the protobuf generating the library required for the Rust. Okay, so that's why it is an language neutral and platform neutral. Language neutral is cleared, and platform neutral you can see. And if we want a communication, we don't have to aware about it, like what is the platform. Let's suppose it's running on AWS. It is running on AWS, and now I have created my local server in Rust. Okay, now I am creating a local server using the Rust, and I'm using the protobuf. So here also we can use it properly. We don't need extra thing. It means that we don't have to make any changes in the browser side to make it compatible with the new platform. Let's suppose it is running in the it is running in the like Windows server or some other server, and now I'm migrating to a different platform that is completely independent, Linux or Unix, whatever it is, or Windows. Okay, I'm using the Rust, and like I'm, so in that scenario it is becoming a platform neutral. So it is extensible. Okay, it is an extensible. Extensible means, like, let's suppose I have currently I'm using a version of protobuf 1, and now I have moved to the protobuf version of 2. Now in that scenario also I can, it is providing the support for it. Okay, okay, I think that is clear. Next, move to the next. Why protobuf? So our question is,